is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked, and today I'm doing a no run-through review for Smash Up Marvel, which was a game that I had on my anticipated for, I believe, expansions or just games in general of 2021, and I gotta say, I was skeptically curious about this one because the last time that Smash Up did a like an IP for their games that weren't like a joke or a parody of an actual thing like Power Rangers or Pokemon or something like that, it was a disaster because Smash Up Munchkin is a game that everyone has but no one ever actually plays because it's just genuinely bad and shouldn't be really included in Smash Up. And I gotta say, this is not that. This is not the case for Smash Up Marvel because it is fun. It is so good and does what I think a pretty good job of actually encapsulating Marvel within the Smash Up universe. So they did a fantastic job of doing this. And I know a lot of people are going to be they're probably getting tired at this point of Marvel being kind of like the IP that everyone's doing. But if you do it right, it works. Like, I mean, the MCU and stuff like that, I mean, when Endgame was officially done, they announced a whole bunch of other shows that they were going to do before the movie started kicking off again. And it's still killing it, I think. Like, I mean, I'm excited for, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and WandaVision is amazing. So I'm still excited for MCU content as long as they're doing it right. And here, I think they are. So, I mean, if you're familiar with Smash Up at all, then this review is just to let you know that if you like Marvel, you can get this. You will not get burned by the IP like Munchkin did for a lot of people. But not a lot of people like Munchkin anyway, but a lot of people like Marvel. And here, what I'm really excited, or not excited, but happy about that they did was, one, this is its own core set. So you don't have to own any of the Smash Up stuff. You can just go buy this. And in fact, I am going to show some of the cards from some of the factions. But I will say, at the very least, the box actually looks like it is set for another set of 8. Now, this could have just been a standard thing that they did anyway, but it looks like they might do more Marvel stuff. And the other thing I'm excited for is the fact that they went with art, like actual drawn art, so you can take this and incorporate it into everything about Smash Up. You could take the Avengers and mix them with ninjas. You could take the Shield and mix them up with Transformers or something like that, and it would work just as well as any other combination of factions. So let's go over some of the some of the factions. Well, I'll talk about all of them at least. But another thing that they did, they have the dividers, so you can put it in your bigger, geekier box. But what they did on this, which I think is the best that they've done, and I hope, they probably won't, but I hope and wish that they would reprint these dividers to match what they did in here. So, for example, the different factions you have the Avengers, you have the Ultimates, you have Hydra, you have the Cree, then you have Masters of Evil, Shield, Sinister Six, and then the SpiderVerse. Now, what they did with all of these, which I think is awesome, they describe what the faction does. So, for example, the Avengers says, which if you can see, you obviously won't be able to read that unless you pause it, but the Avengers faction assembles 6 mighty heroes whose different skills can handle any situation. Each has a signature action that can be used at any time, but is stronger when used with its hero. Though their numbers are few, they have several ways to cycle through their deck and recycle discarded cards to get what they need when they need it. This is fantastic. It is on the divider itself, which I know they have stuff like that in the rulebook, but the fact that whenever you're randomizing it, you can just hand someone their divider so they can kind of read what they're about. But here's the other thing that is more important, in my opinion, than the actual description, is the fact that at the very bottom, it shows you the complexity of that faction. That is so smart, because none of the factions that I know of do that. So when you're, drafting, you're like, oh, that sounds fun. Like, it's an area control game. I think I want the gnomes and the ants. And it's like, okay, but you don't know how difficult that might actually be. If you knew the difficulty of the faction and you've never played before, you might be like, oh, well, okay, I'll take zombies and pirates, because they're both low. I don't know what they would be, but they're both low complexity, and that'll help a lot of new players. This is so smart. I really hope that AEG comes out with like a divider pack or something that lets you go out and buy them so you can replace them and actually have the description as well as the complexity. This was so smart. Now, the last game that I played, we did the combination. It was a 3-player game because Smash Up is always best at 3. I had the Avengers and the Ultimates. Then my friend had the Cree and Shield, and then the other person playing had the I believe it was Hydra and Masters of Evil. Yeah, it was Hydra and Masters of Evil. So mine was low with low-medium complexity, whereas hers was like medium to high and then high. And then his was medium to medium-low. So let's go ahead and go over some of the cards, starting with the Avengers. Oh, and real quick, the locations are pretty cool. They are your kind of bog standard locations, but that do the same thing. There's Manhattan. After this base scores, each player with a character here may place a card with a special ability from their discard pile. So that's pretty cool. There's Stark's Lab. You may place a character from your discard pile on the bottom of your deck. There's, let's see. And a lot of these are actually like really good for particular factions, which is just the case for the regular game anyway. Let's see. Hydra Lab. After one or more of your characters here is destroyed, draw a card. Good for the Hydra character, of course. So yeah, the bases are pretty neat. So let's see. We have the Avengers, which your adventures are going to be. You have Captain America. You have Black Widow. You have Iron Man. You have Hawkeye. You have, I think, yep, there's 2 more. You have Thor, and then you have the Hulk. So, all of these, of course, do something different. You have Iron Man that can move this character and up to one other character here to another base. That's its talent. Hulk gets +2 power till the end of the turn. Thor, you can search your deck for Mjolnir, deck or discard pile. Hawkeye lets you draw cards. Black Widow, you can destroy a character there of power 5 or less. And Captain America, give each of your other characters currently here +1 because he's the leader. Now, as you can see, all of these are level 5. So the Avengers are really cool because they have 5 power, which is awesome. But there are other things in here that, like the description says, they are about getting their items. So Captain America has capped shield. Your characters here are not affected by other players' actions. You have Hawkeye's arrows. You can reveal your action cards from the top of your deck and play them as extra actions. And some of them are actually good if you have other people there. But like tactical, no, it wasn't that one. It was. No, that was right. Yeah, that's it. Then you have, let's see, Widow's Bite. Special, play before base scores. Other players' characters get -1, and if she's there, she gets +2. You have Mjolnir, of course, which is really cool. If this card is on Thor, he gets +2 power. If it's otherwise, you can attach it to a character, and it gets -2 power. You have Hulk, that has... You choose a base, destroy any number of base modifiers on it. If Hulk is there, you may destroy this base, and all its modifiers are in place with the top base, so he destroys the location. And then you have the repulsor boots for Iron Man. Move one of your characters to another base. You may play this before a base scores to move Iron Man. So those are the big things about the Avengers. Unique items particular to those characters, as well as really strong characters. And then, of course, different ways to actually get... them back, because once they're gone, then you can get like Avengers Assemble, shuffle up to 2 characters. So it's really interesting because the whole deck only has those 6 characters in it. So you have to have ways to kind of get them back in. And so that is the Avengers. Really like them, but I will say they are also kind of a slow faction because of that reason. So that was the Avengers. Doesn't fit back in there. But that's fine, because I'm going to take this and move it into my bigger, geekier box. So, next we can do is the ultimates. So the ultimates say, patrols the universe looking for cosmic threats. They are strong in movement, and movement makes them stronger. They also work well together so they can spread out and then unite as a powerful team when the need is greatest. So the ultimates, like they said, they are big on movement, and that's a lot of their talents. So for example, America Chavez, after another character moves to or from this base, this character gains +1 power. Captain Marvel is a big one. Move this character to another base. All of your other characters currently there gain +1 power until the end of the turn. And they have a lot of that, like, oh, if another character moves here, it gets +1 power. Like, basically, like, Heroic Landing, for example, is a card. This says move any number of your characters to other bases. So if you have a bunch of characters spread out, you want to boom, and then it's like, oh, okay, so that triggers. Oh, it had a 30 breaking point. Okay, well, I have 70 there because all my characters are there. Blue Marvel, after this character moves to another base, gets +1 power. There's quite a bit of him. Spectrum, it's a talent, move this character to another base. And yeah, those are all the characters there. So, I mean, these are just the different 4. Of course, there's like 3 Blue Marvels and stuff. First to Arrive is a great action that you can play. Play an extra character on a base where you have no characters. So they are all about spreading out and then moving together to get really powerful, which is great because normally you don't want to spread too thin with all the bases because you'll be slow to actually, score if it does happen to score before you can do anything about that. But they're perfect for that because you have multiple ways of sucking everyone to one base to power everyone up and then break it. Aid from allies, base modifier, draw a card. After you move one or more characters here, draw a card. So it's pretty fun. A different way that I'm used to playing, but having them whenever I played last, them and the Avengers together was pretty good because Avengers were able to actually have some presence on a base of 5 power, and then I can have my weaker ones kind of out, and then they show up, and then the Avengers and the Ultimates fight Hydra and win, because Hydra is usually just regular people. So that is the Ultimates, like them quite a bit. I wonder if it would be interesting to do a ranking of all the Smash-Up factions. Ooh, that would be pretty difficult, but could be fun. So that is the Ultimates. Next, let's see. Those were low, medium. Let's go in order of complexity. So next, let's do Shield. Shield is actually low. So, hey, I'll put this in front of. I won't do it. But next, we have, of course, Shield, which says, Shield carefully monitors the world and stands ready to jump in to stop their foes. Its agents excel at both calling in extra characters for help and strengthening each other. Careful planning allows them to play cards in the right order to maximize their assets. And boy, do they. They are all about having a bunch of Shield agents on one area, and then just since they have a bunch of numbers there, they help each other, and then they just score in power. So, for example, you have a Shield agent, which gets +1 power if any of their other characters are there. And there's quite a bit of Shield agents in here. You have, where is he? Yep, you have Agent Coulson. You may play a character of power 2 or less here as an extra character. So you play that, you play him down. Oh, he came with a Shield agent. Then you have, of course, Mariah Hill. After you play another character here, that character gains +1. This character gains +1 power until the end of turn. So you have Mariah Hill there. Then you play Agent Coulson, so she gets +1 power. And then you have a Shield agent pop in, which gets +1 power. And then the Shield agent has +1 power. So there's all of that. And then Nick Fury, you may play an extra character here. Oh, great. Okay, we're going to bring him in. I'm going to play Agent Coulson, which allows me to bring it. So you can see how they start to play off of one another. But then you have actions like entry point, which is you just play an extra character. You have cards like, let's see, where is it? Proving Ground, which is a base modifier. As a talent, you can play a character there of power 3 or less. You have Troop Drop, play an extra character there of power 3 or less. You have Mission Debriefing, draw a card for every one of your characters on the base. So they are all about buffing one another. And I mean, of course, these are all going to be somewhat similar to other versions of characters. But hey, like this kind of reminds me of the robots. And I swear I saw some article that talked about, oh, if you like these factions, you then play one of these. I don't know where the hell that's at. I could not tell you. But yeah, but that's robots. It's not SHIELD. So yeah, SHIELD is really, really cool. My friend who was playing them, he had, who was it? It was the Cree, which I will talk about next. The Cree, which is an interesting faction to actually, to add. I did not anticipate Cree being involved in this, but that's just me. So, the Cree say, the Cree are an advanced militaristic race who strike down their foes with ruthless efficiency. Their strengths are in extra action play, additional power, and card draw. Their cards can be deployed for either long-term advantage or for devastating combos. So as you can see, with the SHIELD being about playing extra characters, the Cree are about playing extra actions, and man, that was rough. I ended up winning that game, by the way, with the Avengers and Ultron. Watching too much WandaVision with the Avengers and the Ultimates, but it was close. It was literally a turn away. Actually, I think he was unable to break the base. He was I think he was one number off of breaking it. So I just got lucky there. So the Cree, which are right here. So let's go over some of their cards. They have the Cree Sentry, which is, this character has +2 power if you have played 2 or more actions this turn. Well, that's actually pretty, pretty easy with them because of their cards that allow them to, speed up, play 2 extra actions, and so you have that. But then you also have characters like Ronan the Accuser, which says you may play an extra action, so you play him, and if Cree Sentry's already out on the base, well then, okay, so I'm going to go ahead and play him on my turn, and then, oh hey, as my 2 extra actions, I'll play Speed Up, so now I have 3 actions that I can play, so he's definitely going to get 4. You have Min Irva, lets you draw 2 cards, so all about card draw, similar to what SHIELD can do. Then you have, then you have, as their big one, you have Supreme Intelligence. After you play an action, one of your other characters gains +1 power until the end of the turn. So they're all about actions, therefore you can just stack as many actions as you want, and that's pretty good. So it begins, one of your characters gains +1 power until the end of the turn, draw a card, you may play an extra action. It's insane. Their proven methods, place up to 2 actions from your discard pile on top of the deck in any order, so that just lets you get some of your really good ones that buff up your characters. So they're not super quick in terms of they're not powerful, but they become extremely annoying because they can constantly play actions, and if their actions are pairing up with literally any other faction that lets them play more characters, then they start to actually become a problem. So, Righteous Fury, this is a character modifier. Ongoing, this character has +3 power. So the Cree are really good. I think the low, medium, I think all of the difficulty things that they put on these dividers actually fit pretty well. So it's not like one where I'm playing it. And I mean, even the high ones here, I wouldn't really I wouldn't say they are that bad. But I like how that's there because it might prevent some people from actually doing too high complexity characters, because then they might feel like they're behind even though they're doing something pretty good. So next is going to be the SpiderVerse, which is interesting that it's the SpiderVerse. So, web-slinging heroes from parallel universes have come together in a common fight to protect their neighborhoods. They specialize in swinging in before and after bases score to sway things in their favor, as long as they have someone already there. But they can be even stronger when they join forces during their own turn, so they can be busy no matter whose turn it is. And that is an awesome thing, because not a lot of factions that I've played have a bunch to do with before and after base scoring. There are factions out there, of course. I mean, there's 60 different factions, but still the fact that one faction is specifically designed for that is pretty cool. So And yeah, they have a bunch of different. Well, no, I wouldn't say like a bunch of different like spider, but the main ones from like Into the SpiderVerse, I think is what it's called. I actually haven't seen it. I know, I suck. So like Spider-Man 2099, this character can't be destroyed by other players' cards. Great. So you put him there for the other actions that are in here, so that since he's there, they'll trigger. You have Miles Morales, special. Before base scores, if you have a character there, you may play this character there and give it -1 power till the end of the turn. So since he can't be destroyed, oh hey, I'm going to go ahead and play him there to, oh now it's -1 power, but, and give it, yeah, so he becomes a 2, and so now it's like, oh, now I have just 1 more than you, so I'm actually going to get first place and get those 4 points. It's pretty great. You have Ghost Spider, or I believe this is actually Spider-Gwen, but maybe it is Ghost Spider. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck, draw 1, and return the rest to the top card draw. That is always fantastic to have. And then, of course, you have Spider-Man. After you play a card that has a special ability, this character gains +1 power till the end of the turn. So any card that says special on it, which is most of these cards, he's going to get more powerful. So he's a 5, then he becomes a 6. But yeah, like some of these, for example, is like with great power. Love the art. The art is fantastic for all of these as well. But give a character +3 power to the end of the turn. You may play this before base scores. Give a character their 2 power until the end instead of 3. So you can play it on your turn to make them a little bit stronger. But if you just need that extra boost, you're like, oh, okay, Spider-Man, boom, he's now a 6. Now he's an 8 because I'm playing with great power, which is awesome. Let's see, what's the other one? Oh, of course. Oh, that's neat. I actually didn't make this connection. With great power comes great responsibility. Play an extra character. Special. You may play this before base scores where you have a character. Play the extra character there. It gains -1 power. Doesn't even matter what it is. So if Spider-Man 2099 is there, you can swing in Spider-Man, and because you play the character, now he's strong. So it's just really cool. I like the fact that they swoop in. And I will say a lot of the factions feel thematic. Now, Smash Up has never been a game about the ultimate theme, but you can kind of like, especially with Marvel, it's a little easier than some of the other ones. But yeah, like the other ones, Spider Sense, draw 2 cards. Special, you may play this after a base where you have character scores. So you still want your presence there, so this deck can be halted if you have a deck that is, or you have a enemy faction that is all about removing your cards. So they can be halted, but they're going to be annoying if someone thinks that they have the edge, and then you just swoop in with a bunch of Spider-Men from a different universe, and then you have more power than them. So yeah, so that's the Spider-Verse. Really, really like it. So then next, we are going to do the Sinister 6, which I believe are the enemies of Spider-Man, because this is Mysterio. The Sinister 6 love to prey on weakness. They have many ways to make bases weak and get many benefits from weaker bases. They have several base modifiers and ways to reuse them and their characters. Since they make base breaking easier, they need to be careful to have the most power there when it happens. See, this is why this is great, because you might sit there and be like, oh, I get to make bases weaker, but not understand the precautions of doing so. So yeah, these are the best aspect of this game, in my opinion. So yeah, so the different characters that you have. Okay, yes, it is all of Spider-Man's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, just wanted to make sure that they were all here. So yeah, Electro, ongoing. This base's breakpoint is reduced by 2. Which is still really good because, for example, in the last game that we played, where my friend was like 1 or 2 ways away from winning, if he was playing this, he could have dropped it and then be like, oh, it's actually broken and now I have more there. So that's really cool. Sandman, this character has +2 power if the breakpoint here is 19 or less. And as far as I know, I cannot recall a faction that ultimately gets benefits from base's breakpoint being lower. I know there's factions out there that lower it, but I can't think of one off the top of my head that is like, oh yeah, we actually gain stuff for weakening it, which is really cool. Vulture, you may play a base modifier from your discard pile on top. You may place a base modifier. So Vulture, 3 power, and you can get some base modifiers back. Green Goblin has a talent, reduce the breakpoint of a base by 3, which is really, really cool, especially if you can lower it to make it, let's say it's 22. You play him, it lowers it. Sandman now is a 4 instead of a 2. And if you have Electro there, then it's getting reduced by 5, which 5 is huge, so it will break a lot of bases. Mysterio. Play a base modifier here as an extra action or draw a card. And that's really good having those options. And then last, Dr. Octopus. Doc Ock. At the start of your turn, you may reduce this base's breakpoint by 4 until the end of the turn. So just having all these on one base, you're definitely going to break it. And of course, you'd have the most there for the most part. But yeah, so like, let's see. Incite Panic. Other players' characters here have -1 power. If the breakpoint here is 19 or less, other players' characters cannot use special abilities. And that is pretty awesome because you have so many ways of lowering the bases that, I mean, it seems like 19 is kind of the number, and that's just great. I think that's still really cool. You have Pressure from All Sides. These are all the base modifiers. Reduce this base's breakpoint by 1 for each character on it until the end of the turn. That's really good. And this is medium to high difficulty, and the reason being is that your characters gain benefits for lowering it, and like it mentions, it's like, hey, if you lower it, that's fine, but if you have 2 power there and someone else has 6, you lower it, broke it, and still didn't gain anything. Reroute the power. If the breakpoint here is 19 or less, give one of your characters here +3 power until the end of the turn. So this is a really, really cool idea, and I think that they went the correct route when coming up with unique ideas, because I mean, Smash Up has a shit ton of factions, and if you're just releasing different themes but they're starting to play the same, then that does no one any good. So the fact that these are different enough, or at least they're described in a way that you kind of understand their purpose, then you can take them and throw them in with another regular Smash Up deck and be like, ooh, okay, this might be really cool. So 2 left, and then I can give you my ranking on Smash Up Marvel. But the next one is medium to high, which is Hydra. So Hydra, cut off 1 head and 2 shall take its place. Hydra is not afraid of character destruction since it makes them stronger, especially when their leaders order it. Hydra characters can overrun a base, and since they have several ways to swell their numbers, it won't be long until they are ready for more conquests. They are very interesting as a faction because of that very reason. The fact that you want your characters to get destroyed because you get benefits for it. So, for example, Hydra Agent. After this character is destroyed, place up to 2 extra characters of power 2. So if someone plays a character and destroys that, like for example, if Thor throws Mjolnir on him and it lowers him to 0, he dies. Oh, okay, that's fine. That's fine. I'm just gonna play 2 more there. Oh, those are just ongoing abilities as well. It's pretty gross. So then you have like Arnim Zola. This character is +1 power for each of your other characters here with a printed power of 2 or less. With that same example, boom, you kill him, 2 more come in, now he's a 4. So they definitely stack up on each other, similar to S.H.I.E.L.D., which is really cool. I love the dynamic between the two, because obviously S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra are enemies. Then you have Baron Strucker. Destroy 1 of your characters. After it is destroyed, move up to 2 of your characters from other bases to here. So you could easily just have some Hydra agents around, and then boom, kill that Hydra agent, play 2 more, and then bring 2 more characters in. Oh, and the base broke. And oh, by the way, I have Electro there, and the base was 24, now it's 22. Now it busted. You know, just all the cool different combinations that you can do. I guess it's not super thematic if you have Hydra and the Avengers working together, but oh well. Then you have Madam Hydra. Destroy 1 of your characters to give this character +2 power to the end of the turn. These are all talents, so you can, on your turn, you can be like, oh, I'm going to use her talent, kill that Hydra, play 2 more. Could use Baron Strucker, destroy 1 of those Hydra, play 2 more, you know. So a lot of those different types of combos. And then, of course, Red Skull. I mean, you can't have Hydra without Red Skull. After 1 of your characters is destroyed, draw a card. Talent, destroy 1 of your characters to draw a card. So these 5 by themselves are all just about cycling and then just destroying characters to gain benefits for it. Then you have Hail Hydra. As an action, destroy 1 of your characters to draw cards equal to its power. That might be good. You Hail Hydra, you destroy Red Skull to draw 5 cards and then utilize the +2, like the level 2 cards. You have, there's one in here that I thought was really, really cool. If I can find it, that might be. I think that might be a different the last faction here. Secret reserves, shuffle any number of characters of power 2 or less in your discard pile back into your deck. So of course you're going to be destroying Hydra agents to get those back. 2 more shall take its place. Destroy one of your characters. After it is destroyed, place up to 2 characters of power 2 or less. So these feel like the one of the Lovecraft, one of the Cthulhu factions, the Innsmouth. I think it was the Innsmouth faction that like no one likes, but they were kind of all about that. They had I think their only minion were the level 2s, but I think they were all about swarming. This feels like that, but of course way, 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 way better. So yeah, and then like fanatical devotion. Your characters here each have +2 power if one or more of your characters has been destroyed. So that one is of course one of the best actions in the deck. You destroy a Hydra, play 2 more, and you have all those level 2s. Now they're 4s, so they get stronger. Yeah, the Hydra is really good. The reason why they're medium to high is probably, that one is interesting. I don't think this one is as hard as, let's say, the Spider-Man or the Sinister Six, because those you have to make sure your characters are at. You have to, I feel like, keep more in mind. But maybe this is medium to high because you're destroying your own stuff, and you have to have a really good hand to maximize off of those efforts. And then last is the Masters of Evil. They are the only faction right now that is a high difficulty. So, Masters of Evil seek to control the world through any means. In addition to the VP rewards from bases, they've developed alternate methods of getting victory points, and they get stronger the more victory points they have. They are also good at destroying characters to slow other players and increase their strategic gain. These ones do remind me of the Aliens, off the top of my head, because Aliens had other ways of getting victory points. So I don't know much about the Masters of Evil, but I do know that they were really good, especially paired with Hydra. So, for example, okay. Hey, this is in the Marvel Champions Rise of Red Skull. Absorbing Man. Destroy this character and another Absorbing Man to gain 1 victory point. Well, there's multiple Absorbing Mans in here, so that's going to be pretty easy. So you have him, you have Black Mamba. This character has +1 power for every 4 victory points you have. Not super bad. She's a 3, which is a decent power. But since the game goes up to 15, the most she can get without you, of course, winning would be 3, which is still 6. And that's not horrible, just a static ability. So you have her. Then you have, Ulysses Claw, which is draw a card for every 4 victory points you have. And then you have their strongest one, Baron Zemo, which is after this base scores, gain 1 victory point and place this character on the bottom of its owner's deck. That's just great to have. You just put him down, and then it's like, oh, okay, the base scores, and I still gain a victory point on top of the 3 I get this time, so that's fantastic. Oh, and he goes back in my deck. So these guys are really cool, and because you have stuff like, acceptable loss. Destroy one of your characters of power 4 or more to gain 1 victory point. And because, for example, Black Mamba gains power for actually having victory points, you can kill her to gain victory points. If you have 4 victory points, she's at a power 4. You destroy her to gain 1 more. You have cards like Ball and Chain. This character has +2 power and cannot be destroyed by other players' cards. So you put him on Baron Zemo. So whenever it scores, you will gain a point. World Domination. One of your characters here gains +2 power until the end of the turn. After this base scores, move this action to another base. So you just get power, which is great because you want to kill them to be able to gain victory points. A Portent of Doom. Play on a base with no player's characters. When this base scores, if you have 1 or more power here, gain 1 victory point. I think that this one is a really cool one because off the cusp, this is actually a pretty weak deck, but you have multiple ways of actually scoring additional victory points than just sitting around and waiting for your characters to break the base. And then paired with Hydra, who has multiple ways of actually swarming bases and breaking them for you to gain points, or you pair them with Shield, and Shield ramps up, and then you're going to have a lot of characters that have +2 power or 4 or more power to gain you those victory points because of the acceptable losses cards. Convergence, move one of your characters to another base. After it is moved, if you have 4 or more characters at that base, gain 1 victory point. Looking for all the cards that... Yep. Sonic Shockwave, which is from Claw. Destroy another player's character with less power than your total power at this base. After it's destroyed, if that character had 5 or more power, gain 1 victory point. So it's not like you're sitting there, you're not going to be like racking up the victory points to speed up the game, but you have multiple ways of doing it, which I just think is awesome and can be really good in combination to any of these. So I really, really enjoy these factions here. There's not a single one here where I'm like, man, that's kind of a waste, you know. So that's it. That is my thoughts on Smash Up Marvel. On a scale of 1 to 10, I am gonna give this a 9 as an expansion, or technically as a standalone. I think Smash Up is a fantastic game. I absolutely love it. With the Marvel theme doing such a great job with you actually being able to kind of thematically make your decks and fight for the different bases is more so than just regular Smash Up where it's just a bunch of different factions fighting each other. So I really like that. It gets an extra point because I expected it to be so shitty, like Munchkin, and like, oh man, it's with the OP, or I think they used to be USAopoly. It's just a cash grab, like this is not going to work, like it's going to be some separate thing, so I can't combine it. You can easily combine it with other factions. The unique playstyle of a lot of these factions is awesome. I think they did a fantastic job making them feel not like some other faction, but similar in a way. So if you've played the Aliens, you're going to be a little bit familiar with the idea of the Masters of Evil, and so on and so forth. And those dividers having the description of what the factions do and their complexity is just awesome. So that's my thoughts on Smash Up Marvel. Let me know what you think of the game in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.